Hey there, folks. I always love how fast people start swaying in and bumping in. Uh, Welcome. This is Food Talk Live, and this is Let's Be Frank lunch, my Thursday lunch. I am back again. Food Talk TV hosts these every day. One of us jumps on. I'm here for lunch, and I'm going to be making a couple dishes for you. So, welcome in. What are we cooking, Cheyenne? Well, it's one of it's got bacon, but it's going to be a surprise. So I got to talk about it. But we're going to do bacon, and then I'm going to do an old sandwich that Italian American immigrants used to make, and it's got eggs and potatoes and peppers, and it's sort of like a retelling of what some of my ancestors, some of my family growing up when they first came over would make. So we've got a grinder with eggs and potatoes and peppers, and then we're gonna have a bacon treat, but I'm not telling you what that's gonna be yet. And hi, Sherry, how are you?
Hi, Frank, I'm great. I'm
So
excited about this bacon.
I'm telling you, I'm not telling nobody what's going to be until I'm ready to get there, but I'm going to start it now. So welcome everybody to Food Talk TV. I can lean because I haven't started cooking. And then once I start cooking, I can't lean because it's dirty. Sherry and I are two of the 10 or 11 of us that now are on Food Talk TV. We do these lives every day. Um, Much to your encouragement, I've been coming on every Thursday and I am going to try and make lunch with you. So my goal is to make my lunch for today with you all. We
Yay.
also have great. If you're new to Food Talk TV, we have Grub Match, which is the TikTok's first significantly only live cooking competition between members. That's every Monday night. Sketchy Chef is our hostess for that. We also have we have Cooking Club on Wednesdays, which is a side activity. You can find all of that on our website, foodtalktv.com. And while I'm cooking, Sherry will be filling in some of those other information. But most of all, thank you. Thank you for spending either your lunch hour or your afternoon coffee break or the kids aren't home from school with me. I am thrilled and I look forward to having you with us.
Hey, and guess who's in here? I'll
Who's
give
in
you a
here?
hint. I'll give you
Who?
a hint. Hey, TikTok.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, it's Chef Bradley.
Hey, Chef Bradley. I think he's going to like this dish today. All right,
Of
so
course it is.
the first thing we're going to do, although you'll have to be patient, I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do with the bacon, but I am going to show you how to prepare it. And I have my little favorite. This is what I keep my bacon grease in. I love
I
this.
have one of
I love it. I love mine. I've had it for a while, and
those.
it's the only way I can keep that bacon grease separate from like the random grease that we get. All right, so I'm using plain old-fashioned bacon. I'm not using anything special. It is a thick cut, but I happen to be really partial to when oftentimes if you've ever seen me do food talks before and cook, I often like to use the already made bacon, the bacon that you can buy that sits in the box. Partially that's
Right.
because, yeah, and because it's shelf stable, and I get upset to buy something and then it's in my cabinet and I forget it. It's in the refrigerator and I forget it. But I happen to say I really like the way Oscar Mayer, not that we're promoting them, but they have this new easy open, easy peel. And for folks who have arthritis, who have issues with mobility, the opening is generally super easy. And what I like so much about it, it peels so that you can actually work from it if you don't want to change cutting boards as quickly. In my case, I cut it because I know I'm going to be using all of this bacon up. We are using all this bacon. So
Ooh,
it
I
was
love it.
all right. Um, so this recipe, I will tell you more, but first I got to get it prepped. Now you can do this with fake bacon, turkey bacon, non-meat bacon. Doesn't matter as long as you have it in strips. All I'm doing is I'm very tightly rolling these, and it won't take me but 6 or 7 minutes. I'm going to roll each one up. I'm going to pour out, and hint, I'm using toothpicks, but I just touched bacon. So pour out the toothpicks on your table. Do not put your fingers in because then you've just gotten all those toothpicks touched with pork, even if it is smoky, and you want to be able to not cross contaminate. I get very nervous with meat these days and cross contamination. So
Okay, so
all I'm
let me
going to do,
say, listen, there's a girl in here. She's a Kentucky girl, and
okay?
She's a great creator. Um, she said, "You have a beautiful kitchen." Deanna said, "Hi, Frank. Hi, Bama." Kay Daly said, "What are you making?" Well, let me assure you, it is a bacon treat of some sort. He's not divulging his secret yet.
You're gonna have to stay with me a little bit. I'm gonna make a sandwich. I got so much response from the last two TikToks of bringing up dishes that I grew up with or were somewhat culturally connected to my upbringing in the East Coast as an Italian American and son of an immigrant. So I'm gonna be doing a egg sausage, no, sorry, egg, peppers, and potato sandwich. And I will tell you, this is the kind of sandwich that doesn't have to be eaten hot. It actually wasn't eaten hot. It was traditionally made so that when the folks went to the farms or to the industrial areas who were Italian immigrants would have this, and this is what they would eat. So I'm going to make that. But the first thing is I got to get this bacon in the oven. So what I am doing is I am just literally rolling it tight and then taking toothpicks and I'm just crisscrossing them because I want to keep them
Together.
tight. And I'm putting them, a bacon usually has two sides. They have a meat ridge and a fat ridge. I'm putting the fat side down or the meat side down. It's not a huge importance, so don't stress out if you forget one. I just like having the meat side down and I'm putting it on a rack. I did not spray the rack. There's enough grease. I did put the rack though over parchment. I find that it does help. And then as soon as I take these out of the oven, I'm gonna drain it anyhow. So they'll cook about 55 minutes at 375 degrees. Okay, this is not one of those activities that you want to walk away from. I started checking mine about 45 minutes just in case, because sometimes when it comes to bacon, they'll cook if it's thinner, if it's your oven, may change. So at about 45 minutes, you want to just start looking. And what you want them, they should be caramel and crispy as you like. Now, if you like a softer bacon, take them out earlier. Okay,
Well,
there's almost
Ashton said that she sees bacon and she already likes it.
Oh, I think Ashton is going to love this, actually. I hope so.
Mhm.
Ashton, please tell me. So there's always also, not only is there a meat side and a fat side on bacon, there's usually a side that's a little bit thicker and a little bit more narrow.
Let me
Use the
see the other
narrow,
side. Spin it around. Let me see the other. Okay. All right.
so this
Got
is,
you.
but see what I'm saying is there's, at the ends, we've got a smaller end and a bigger end.
Mm-hmm.
Use the smaller end, the inside of the roll.
Okay.
Now, okay, I say tightly roll these. Nobody's checking your homework, okay? Just make them a roll. If it's easier, if you've got, I do have, if you, no one's ever commented, but I got big knuckles. It's because of arthritis. So I often, at the end of a day, find it hard to do dexterity. So I'll just put it down on the plastic and I'll just roll them up if my hands get tired. And it is hard for me to kind of adjust to my hands not being as limber as they used to be, especially since I love knife work and other activities. And there are definitely times of the years where it hurts. But this is something you can get the kids involved in the kitchen. They love this. Just make sure they wash their hands before and then after, or you're going to have a house full of bacon grease everywhere, which, is a pro and a con. It doesn't take long. Look, it's taking me what, less than 6 minutes, and I'm already almost an entire stack of these done. So now I am going to, through the magic of television, so to speak, I do have some cooking. So once I get the eggs started, I'll be able to come back to these. But because one package of bacon is just not going to be enough for me, I had to do 2 packs.
Well,
Uh,
right.
Paul has been out of Paul's been out of town. He's been working, and this is his first business trip that he has gone on since COVID rolled out. So he's going to be ready to be home, and we're all looking forward to having him home. So I thought he's going to enjoy this when he gets home.
Hey, Moses.
Hey there, Moses. Everybody.
And
So we've got a bunch of our creators here from Food Talk TV family, and I always appreciate you when you visit. Just like Granny, we've got
the Chef
the
God,
Chef God,
Chef Bradley.
yeah, Chef
And
Bradley.
Ellen, she's not a creator, but she's always here. And Deanna.
Ellen's here. Good. Ellen is great. And some of the new TikTok family, some of our new Food Talk family, I am thrilled. So, unlike some of our other teams, I don't have a food platform that I rely on full time. I'm just a big old crazy person when I'm on TikTok, my private TikTok account that you can follow me on. I'm all about life and diversity, and I don't like shaming and stigma of any kind. So do not be surprised what you'll see me do. But anybody can follow me, and I love it when you all come and cross. And sometimes I do a little bit of food stuff, but I do most of my food stuff here with the crazy people I call my Food Talk family, and it's been incredible. And I will tell you, we argue, we fight, we laugh, we cry, we get nervous when one of us is in trouble or not feeling well. So, and that to me is a definition of a family. It doesn't have to be geographic. I don't expect to like everybody in my world, but I can really like people or care about people even when I don't like them. I'm a big fan of disagreeing, agree to disagree. And I think
Right.
that's what we've found. And we're bringing that to you all. We'll fight among ourselves on, do you put a bay leaf in that or not? Sure.
Or nutmeg.
Sometimes we'll interpret, or nutmeg. Yes, the nutmeg. I think Sherry and I have had that conversation for over a year. But then there's some days where we'll be like, no, that is gross. But all right, we'll try it. And that's the one thing my father always told me growing up. Now, my father was an East Coast, very quiet police officer. He
Christina,
didn't
we
talk a
don't
lot.
know what it is yet. He's not telling us.
I'm not telling. So he didn't talk a lot. And when he did talk, it would be, he could be a lovely man and very chatty. He just didn't talk a lot. But one of the things he always said when it came to food, and you got to remember, I was born to a family who are Italian in an Italian neighborhood back east. My father was a policeman, and his beat had the Jewish neighborhood, the Italian neighborhood, and black neighborhoods. So at my baptism was catered by the Jewish deli, the soul food deli, and the Italian deli. Talk about a confused guest list when they started eating. But my father always said, you don't have to like it, but you have to try it. You have to always give something a fair try. You can
Mhm.
gracefully, I don't care for it, but try it. All right, so first dish today
Wait,
is going to be a bacon dish.
one more thing. IBD warrior Danielle, who battled with
Hmm.
sketchy, she's in here and she says,
Yes.
"Hey." She's in
Hey
Australia.
there. I was able to jump on some of hers recently. I was able to see them. Any of you that compete with in our grub match, it's great because now I have somebody new who I can check out food wise who I might not have seen. So I'm thrilled. All right, here's the scoop. We got bacon. I have rolled them tightly. I used just plain old fashioned unpainted food toothpicks to secure them because I want them to stay rolled. I put them on a rack on a piece of parchment on a sheet pan. They're going to go into an oven for 375 degrees, preheated oven. They'll stay in the oven about 50 minutes, maybe give or take your oven. It could be anywhere from 45 to 55 minutes. In my oven, it's about 50 minutes. Well, 52 minutes when I got the color and the shade that I want. Now, that being
Really?
said,
I thought you were going to put brown sugar on it. I've
well,
never
now
done
that you
that.
mention it, now that you mention it, since I have to get my pan heated up, I might have put a little brown sugar and some maple syrup together and whisk that sucker up a little bit. And I might have put a little bit of cayenne pepper, just a little bit.
Ooh,
And
yeah.
now this is optional because you have to really watch it. If you go this route, this is a warning. If you go this route, you have to be very careful because your oven may smoke. But, you know, I just thought, oh, wouldn't that be good?
Yes, it would.
So
I
I'm not doing the whole thing. I'm just dipping them tops only. Think of it like candy almost. Just giving it a quick little dip. Now, because I have the parchment, they will, it will catch the sugar, but I have to be a little bit more careful. What I'll do is when I do this dip one, I will give it a few extra minutes before I actually bake it in the oven. And then what I will do is I'll actually put a fresh piece of parchment underneath so that I have as little opportunity for the sugar from the brown sugar and the maple syrup on
I'm so
just
proud of you. You just
parchment.
outsmarted me all the way. You were so ready for
Why?
me.
I knew you were going to ask that question. And I love, but see, I do like putting brown sugar and maple syrup on my bacon to make it more candied. Some people don't. I've done it both ways. This works, and the reason I do like this though is it drips. The most of it will drip off, and what stays on will be perfect. But I do find it will make the oven burn a little hotter and smoke. So when I do this, what I would normally have two pieces of parchment paper down, and I would switch them off before this goes in the oven. All right,
I'm ready.
this this is going in the oven now. I will be telling you what I'm going to do with them when I'm finished with this part of the sandwich. What I'm going to make, let me shift around because I want you all to be able to see. And let's see.
I always
Sherry,
feel
did you
like
notice the new tablecloth?
hey, did you notice I have on a paisley shirt?
I did. Folks, I just got a new tablecloth and I'm loving it. I may have to go and get I'm so excited about well, I love paisleys, anything paisley, especially vintage paisley. I'm so excited that I may actually have to go get the placemats to match this. All right. So I've got my electric skillet here warming up. It's about medium low. Italians, when they first immigrated here, they were laborers. So this is a sandwich that I remember having as a kid because I can remember my grandfather telling us that this is what he ate 3, 4 days a week. So the first thing I'm going to do is because I have a little bacon grease left over, I'm just going to pour a little bit in.
Somebody said if you'd have
Not a
turned the
lot.
bacon the other way, the stuff would have drained down to the inside of the bacon.
It does, but if I flip them upside down and I put fat side down, I don't get the edges crispy as I like them. And
I
I'll and
could
because
see that.
I want the meat edges as crispy as possible, and I find that with the fat on top, it drips through and it makes those get a little bit crispier. It's really your preference, but ultimately for what I'm going to use the bacon for, it doesn't matter. All right, so I am putting some hot oil, some oil in here. It's already heating up. I'm going to open the door so nothing gets turned on. Peppers. There are lots of huge amount of peppers. You use peppers that are available to you. I'm using normally when I make this dish, I use an Italian pepper, a long Italian pepper, which are not as hot as say a serrano or a jalapeno, but they're not as sweet generally as regular green peppers. Of course, as typical when I go to cook something like this, the store I go to that I did not have the Italian long peppers that I like, so I got whatever was closest without completely, burning my face when I go to eat these. So I'm just throwing in my peppers. So I got two of them. The recipe calls for up to four longs, but I got news for you. If you don't want to use these and you are somebody who likes just traditional sweet peppers, use them. But I'm not doing anything special. The idea is usually with the Italian peppers, their skin is a lot thinner than regular sweet peppers. But if you buy these small, they often come in a bag. These small sweet peppers, they work just as fine. I
Well,
can remember
Ellen wants to know what varieties of Italian peppers do you typically use?
whatever I can find at the market. So if I can't find, it'll just usually it says Italian sweet pepper or Italian long pepper, and they look just like super hot green peppers. They're very similar than like the other ones. So you sort of have to know if you get a lot. If you want them hotter, go hotter. You like them sweeter, go sweeter. This is totally your concept here. Um, I can. My grandmother on my mom's side was not somebody who. She was not somebody who traditionally. She could cook, but it wasn't one of her favorite things to do. But I can remember. I have memories of her standing at the stove on a midday for a snack, and she would just do this with peppers, and she would just saute them in oil, and then she would literally just eat them with pieces of bread, and that would be a lunch. My grandfather, same thing. So this is what I'm doing right now. Let me
Mm.
show you because we got. So all I'm doing, it's about medium heat. I don't want to make these crazy. All
All
I'm going to do
right.
is give them a quick saute. And you think I'm going to cut them because I like them a little bit longer to fit into my sandwich. And this is going to be a rustic meal sandwich, but I think what I want people to understand is you can do this with anything. We did it with peppers traditionally because peppers and potatoes are what almost everybody had access to. But you can do this with any vegetables you like. You could do it, except I would cook them off a little bit. You want to give them a little bit of a cook. You don't necessarily want to go completely raw because it's not going to cook for a long time when I go to do the rest of this.
All right. Is that a green onion?
Yeah, I had a green onion in the refrigerator, and I thought normally, I don't usually put onions in this because then it becomes more of a different flavor. But I had a green onion. I only had one that was left. I didn't want to I wanted to use it up, so I thought, I'll use it up. I'm making some great big penne style spears, kind of cut diagonally, throwing them in. You could put anything you want, like I said.
Right.
Now, I'm using my electric skillet because you all know I love using my skillet these days. And I'm going to actually take this cutting board off of here now. If are doing this in a saute pan, you can do that totally no problem. What I do find is with the electric skillet, Teflon coated, so I actually don't need to put as much. I'm going to bring that down a little bit so you all can see. So
Because
I
my
don't
head's
need to.
always in the way. All right. Listen, Aaron Great Juice said Frank's window is a dream. And Ashton wants to know, are you left handed?
I am traditionally right-handed, but I cook both left and right-handed. As a kid, I was a little bit of a troublemaker, and I often found myself with broken wrists. So I learned to do most things with both my left and my right hands.
Surely not
So
you,
you'll
troublemaker.
often see, yeah, yes, I could be a bit of a nudge, and I was known to do things that I was told you really shouldn't do that. I was spoiled. If my sister jumps on a live, she'll be the first one to tell you. I am the first of the grandchildren, and I'm the oldest male. You know what that means, don't you? Spoiled, spoiled, spoiled. And I will say it. That definitely has a place. So, but yes, I actually do a lot of things left and right-handed just by habit. All right, so this doesn't take but I don't know, maybe 5 minutes max. All I'm wanting to do is get a nice little char on it, and then I am going to take it out and put them on a plate and just let them wilt.
Yeah, we love his cooking setup here, I have to say.
You like it? Okay,
I,
did I show
I
you guys my new favorite thing? My new spice containers. I went through my entire spice rack and I bought 2 sets of these. I'm so loving them.
do you really? How
I
easy
do.
is it to open? All righty.
Literally one-handed. They're using a. So I'm a big Lock and Lock fan. I've been using Lock and Lock products 25 years. This is a new version. It's not their silicone. It's another type of clear plastic, but I love them. They come in different colors. They come in 2 sizes, and did enough to do all my spices, and I even have they're big enough to fit a full size cinnamon stick. But it also gives me enough extras that I could put them for other things. So I use them. I have some in the bathroom. I have some, but I love them. I've been meeting. I'm so tired of spices falling over in my cabinet, and I don't get.
Hmm.
And for years I made fun of people who would buy spices and then buy jars. Now I get it. All
Well,
right.
I'm going to have to tell you what Christina Lynn 76 said. I grow long peppers in my bucket garden. Some are candy cane peppers. Have you ever heard that?
Hmm. I have.
I have
I
not.
I grew the Italian long peppers here in San Francisco one summer when I wasn't traveling, and you know what? I was amazed that I was able to grow it because we don't have like the best growing season in the town itself in city. But all right, this does not take long. I mean, I don't want to cook them so they're soft like a roasted pepper. I just want to make them. Oh God, does this smell good? I literally smell like I walked into my grandmother's kitchen on a Saturday or a
I smell
weekday,
it.
and she's just sautéing those things. It's great. All right, so now I got to do the potatoes. Now, you could, and if you look at our Food Talk recipes from the past, there are several ways to cook potatoes that I know Sherry and I know Ashton. I think it's Ashton's recipe of cooking the potatoes in your pan with water.
Hmm.
Works great. This would be a perfect dish for that if you were going to use that. But you could also just take your skillet and put maybe two large potatoes cut up, pour the water in, and just let them cook out. Then dry the skillet. I have leftover potatoes, which is what would normally happen with this recipe. You're going in. I'm not chopping them small. This is not an omelet that I'm intending to be made for that reason. Okay, so this is not a, this is rustic. There's a reason. So I want density. I want bite. I want. So I'm just going to put these in, and these won't take long. It's hot. I don't need extra oil. All I want to do is give them a little bit of life and some char. So while that's happening, let's work on the eggs. Okay, now in the day, this would be considered poor immigrant lunch. Given where we are with the city right now and eggs, this is probably one of the most expensive you could have. But keep that in mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think so too. I was telling somebody by that has to go back to work.
So the recipe I'm using here calls for 8 eggs. I think that's totally subjective on you and your needs and your wants. 8 eggs should make two, maybe three really good size working person sandwiches. Um, Now, I have made this in my little skillet, my square skillet, which I love to use, and I know I can fit without tipping it over. I know I can do 4 eggs in that skillet, so I'm using the electric one, so I know I could probably get away with the egg. If you're trying to do more, or you're not going to use like the grinder sandwiches, say you're going to use English muffins or bagels, you can plan accordingly. Totally up to you. This is more to give you some concepts of how to make a great lunch that can be eaten room temperature. Does not have to be hot, which is what we
It
often assume.
seems like a lot of eggs for just 2 or 3 people, but uh, Ashton's
But
page
remember,
says
it's going in this size loaf.
oh, okay. Well, Ashton says that she gets eggs for 3.50 a dozen in Sweden. And Christina wants to know, do you not worry about using metal tongs in your skillet, nonstick skillet?
I don't because I'm not dragging. I'm picking up and flipping. If I have something that I think is sticking, I will use a silicone tong, or I will use as you can see over here, I have silicone for most of it. But I'm not necessarily scraping. I'm just picking up the potatoes to flip them over because I want a little bit of char on every one. But normally, you're right. If unless it's designed, I try not to mix my Teflon coated or my whatever they call it nowadays
Well, I want
for
to answer Carol up. She wants to know. She said she lost the video of cooking bacon rolled up, so she didn't see how it ended up. All right, it's in the oven right now, but if you want to watch how he rolls it, right there, that's how he rolled it. And if you want to watch this live again in about 2 days, it will be maybe even tomorrow. It'll be on YouTube. Look up in the upper left corner, Food Talk TV. And that's the way it is on all of our social medias, even our .com. We have a website where you can learn about Grub Match and all those. And hello, that Dan's here. And so we've got a lot of ways you can find us. Food Talk, I think foodtalktv.com is just a wonderful, wonderful tool because you can find everything you need to know, including recipes right there. Correct?
And yes, and you can put comments on the recipe. So if you've made a recipe and it didn't come out right, or you made a recipe and you added to it, you want us to try something that you're excited about, make a comment. We're open to it. Matter of fact, this recipe will be going live soon. In the next 2 hours it'll probably post, so you'll be able to see it. All right, so all I did, I just broke up the egg. I want them broken as much as possible. I don't want to really see too much of the runny white, so I want to make them nice and simple. No brain there. I put salt, pepper, parsley, a little bit of celery salt. I'm not using Italian seasoning. I'm using herbs de Provence because I happen to like it better. And herbs de Provence is basically a version of an Italian seasoning, but it has some extra added to it. So now I'm just going to take all these potatoes out. They're heated, they're hot, they've got a little bit of a color on them, which is what I was hoping for. Because sometimes when you bite into a sandwich, you just want that extra texture. And I love working with the skillet because technically I don't use spray Pam if I can avoid it on using these kind of skillets, because I sometimes think the vegetable sprays, unless they're all natural, work funny. But I've also am trying not to use like half a pound of butter and the whole time. All right,
I'm
so
going to
this is
speak to
done.
Jason. I'm going to say hi to Jason, Texas conservative. And Romania said, your flowers and windows are so beautiful, aren't
Thank you. Thank you.
they?
All right, this is going in, and I'm going to make sure my heat is low. Okay, it's not supposed to fill the bottom. And matter of fact, if you were going to make this the more traditional way, because remember, this isn't an omelet technically, but you could do the French way of doing an omelet where you're shaking the pan. I am attached to electricity, so I'm not doing that. All I'm doing, I want a little bit of curd, so I'm gonna, just bring it in as it's cooking. And it's just naturally because my house is tilted. I know how big and which way this is gonna fold. I'm just gonna give it a few minutes now.
Can you pull that toward you just a little bit? Or, yeah,
Like that.
there you go.
Let's see
Now,
if I can fix this one more way. Oops, how's that?
yes. Awesome. All right.
All right, so all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to move it around a little bit. Want to get there. I'm not worried about sticking. Now, I'm not trying to make scrambled eggs, so I don't want to do too much. But what I am trying to do is I want to shape it a little bit to match my sandwiches. So I know how big my sandwich rolls are. I'm in good shape. All right, that's going to be doing its thing. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to put some potatoes on it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that. Then I'm going to put my peppers right on top.
I find I like
Put a
watching guys.
couple red.
It's fun to watch a guy cook. I don't see that
All
much.
right. A little bit of onion. Oh, I grew up, my dad used to always cook. Although he would always cook these outrageously elaborate things, and my mother would just shake her head at us. All right, so this is doing its thing. I'm going to now put the cover on and let it cook from both the top and the bottom for a few minutes, all right? Now that's doing its thing. So obviously you can work with your adjustments. I'm using what would be a standard roll. It's what I had. I actually was trying to get mini Italian bread loaves, but wasn't available, so we don't go in there. So I just
It looks
use,
like ciabatta bread.
these are like mini ciabatta loaves. Yeah, they're perfect for a sandwich. You could toast these if you chose to. We wouldn't have had them toasted growing up. Now, what we wouldn't have necessarily done back in the day is what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some pesto. I love pesto.
I've
So
never
I'm
had
just going to spread
pesto.
it's just this wonderful marriage of basil, parsley, garlic, pepper, Parmesan cheese, sometimes pine nuts. So I'm going to put a little pesto on each side.
I would try it.
This is the equivalent for me of not putting mayonnaise on it. I happen to like oil and vinegar usually on my subs, but you know, we're home. I'm not having to brown bag this, so I don't really worry about the dripping. And I know that we all like parsley here. I mean, pesto here. So you can do it any way you want. All right, let me check where we are with this. Oh, yes. So now it's just starting to set, and I can start to tip it over and actually make my two stuffing.
That is an omelet,
All right.
basically.
It's basically it's like a crash between crash between a frittata and an omelet, but it's not intending to be one. An omelet I would take a lot more care. Some people like them thinner. I'm just quickly cooking a bunch of eggs and vegetables, and that's really what I'm doing. I'm not even putting eggs in this. So in theory, except for the bacon grease, you could have done this meat free. But you see how easy this is? But and it's not going to be pretty. It's not meant to be pretty. It's going to go on bread. But what I am trying to do is shape them visually so I know how much I have. And by cooking with the lid on like this, it also means I don't have to worry about flipping them over.
Right.
And I actually do cook my eggs a lot where I don't flip them over, just because it can be a mess. So I find that that works for me. If I can cover them, I'll put the lid on them. It melts the cheese. I'm not using cheese today, but it will melt cheese. And then we will be getting ready to go back to what everybody's waiting for. What am I going to do with those that bacon?
I know. I'm so excited.
I know everybody's so excited, and now I might suggest that what you see me do for this afternoon with the bacon piece. Want to guess where you might want to do this for a certain day coming up in February. This could be like just if you're going to a brunch, what a fun thing. And when I show you what it is, it will make you smile. All right. Just getting my plate ready. Got my two bases. Remember, with loaves of bread, they usually have a bottom and a top. You put your bottoms down, which I'm not going to comment. Chris, don't say a word. There are others of you who are already going that route. No, don't comment. Don't get my live kicked off. All right. Do you see how this is coming together? I don't want it to be not have a little bit of liquid, but it's in a good place. I'm going to do one tip over because I want to just flip them. I want to make sure that my just moving my cover here so I don't drop it. Do a little cut there. So this theoretically, Sherry, remember you said it seems like a lot. I could do this entire thing and make 4 sandwiches if I were using like a traditional Pullman loaf or white bread, American white bread or something like that. Totally would work the same way. So this could be enough for 4 sandwiches as well,
I would so eat
depending on,
that. That would be so good.
oh yeah. And look at the color that it's putting. And I'm not doing anything. It's really very easy. Now, I will try this, but it's TikTok land. Nothing works perfect. Okay, got it. There you go. And all I'm doing now is because I have the peppers and onions and the peppers and potatoes. I just want to get them reheated really quick, and then we will be ready to plate this up.
Hmm.
Where's my cover? So this, for folks who just joined us, this is a sandwich called sausage, potato, pepper subs. And Italian immigrants, when they were here, when they came to the country, they often were laborers. They would work they would have to take their lunches with them to work, and they needed something easy to make. And this was one of the dishes that the wives would make in the morning, and then pack them up, and they would eat it whenever they were ready to eat. So, did you notice something? I did not put a lot of salt in it earlier. I do that by habit. I like eggs and salt in my eggs, but I also forget because I grew up in a household where we didn't use a lot of salt.
I
So
don't.
yeah, and I just so sometimes I totally forget. But I have found that I prefer, and most people when I make eggs for them, have no idea that I didn't add salt in the making. And then later on, they're like, oh, because they get the finish of salt when you put it just on top. It's like adding a little bit of butter to it. All of a sudden, it tastes so buttery and rich. Well,
Right.
you just put the butter on late. All right, there's our first sub. Now let's see if I can manage to do this in one giant, because I can't wait to see if I can do this.
I can't
And
either.
and you and me both. So if it comes out, I'm just going to add it there real quick. Now I'm not going to cut this. I'm going to switch topics in a minute and actually talk about. Here's the cheat. I put the cover down first, lift it up, and put it on the base.
And then just
There you go.
squeeze the peppers in and the potatoes. Yeah. Oh, you're making me hungry.
Okay. This is just simple. It's good. It's easy. It's quick. You can use it any way you want. The big thing of this, let me make sure I got my tops right. There we go. The big thing about this is after you make them, so if you were going to make these to go on a picnic, okay, maybe you're going to see a sick friend and you're bringing lunch, make them, make sure anything that drops off gets put back in your pan or shoved in your sandwich
Or mouth.
or mouth, because if I wasn't on camera, I probably would have done that. Just let them sit. I want the steam of these to softening the the peppers to make sure that they're good and go. I could even, if I wanted to, I could have put the sandwiches back in the electric skillet, cover them, and just keep them warm. But really, what I want them to do now is I want them to cool down so that I could wrap them. So I'm going to leave them right here. They're too hot right now to cut, so I'm just going to leave them to distract you.
Well, you're doing a great job. I'm totally
I hear,
distracted.
I can hear my grandfather in the back of my mind saying, "Where's mine? Where's mine? Give me my cup of coffee and give me my egg sandwich." All right,
Ellen
it's
Ellen
that.
asked where was it that the miners would cook their lunch potatoes in the hot water in the salt mine?
Oh, oh yeah, I would imagine in places that made sense too. All right, so if you joined us earlier, I talked about bacon. So this is what the bacon looks like when it's cooked.
Looking beautiful.
And it does not take much. Now you can pull the toothpicks out if you have Teflon hands pretty quickly. But do you see what I mentioned? If I put this side down, I wouldn't get this really beautiful dark crunch at the top. That's why I actually put the meatier sides face down on the grate.
That makes sense.
Now, you could theoretically eat these just like this with doing nothing else. These would be great on a salad. These would be great in a lunchbox. These would be great as an appetizer. You could, put an extra pick in it. Can I get all the picks out? Great. But we're going to be a little bit extra because people expect that.
Well,
It's going to be Valentine's Day soon.
Ashton has been expecting what you're going to do. She's been saying it the whole live what you're going to do with them.
Well, she better not give that secret away.
Well, she did. I'm just
Girl, we're going to have to talk. Valentine's Day is coming in, people. Guess what we're doing? We're making roses. I'm making you bacon roses. Now, there are a couple different ways. You can use this inexpensive rose. Now, this particular fake rose, it comes with a receiving end there. If you want to use that type, what you're going to need to do then is cut them. You're going to need to clip them so that you have a point. I'm not planning to use these, but you can use skewers if you have green floral tape. But instead, all year round when I'm looking and I'm out and about, I look for, greenery. All you do is you take, this is one bunch here, faux greenery, and it's really helpful if you get the ones that have this base. Just take off the piece there, pop out the fake ones, the plastic coated nylon, synthetic, whatever it is. Get them out of there.
Where'd he go?
I'm
Oh,
right here. I'm just,
you're wrestling with it, aren't you?
yeah, I was tussling with it. Put my little piece on. I'm going to push it down so I get a good bit. And I am going to make my rose just like that. Then you take your fake stem, your fake leaves, and you go ahead and you do it. I'm going to do a couple more. And here, because it was Valentine's Day, I even got you some LED
Look at
roses.
you. You're so fancy.
I can be. Let me see. Where did I actually cut one of these because I wanted to show you all how to do it with a cut. And I will look for that one. So this doesn't take much. You could just go ahead and cut the ends off. Totally up to you. It really makes no never mind if you don't want to be that fiddly with these plastic petals. In this particular one, I found that, and I bought these. I think these I got somewhere. That I wanted to save this kind of green base because I think it forms this great little natural seat for the bacon.
Well, Ellen said, Dollar Tree, here I come. And Ashton said,
You know what?
tell Frank he gave me a good dose of dopamine. With the camera angle
Dollar
like it
Tree.
is, with the camera angle like it is, you look like it looks like Santa Claus making. I didn't realize how much like Santa Claus you look from the nose down. That
That's
beard.
why I let my beard grow in because I do a bunch of reading for the kids at Christmas
Oh.
as Santa Claus, and that's why I let my beard go in. All right, I am gonna just finish a couple more of these, and then you will get a chance to see how you would finish this off. But literally, this is all you're doing. And what I find is I tend to like to do these on individual stems because I find that they are easier to work with because they can be weighty. They will weigh stuff. So then you got to make sure that you're gonna get them in, and then oops, did I drop that one yet? And then what I do is I'll take other fake greens, and that's what I use to help support my roses. It will be helpful, and it does work really well if you do. Where did I put that other clipper? Oh, here it is. And these are the ones I actually like better. I just clip the edge. It's much quicker than using the ones from that are joined like that.
Oh, and they're stronger too.
They are thicker, they're stronger, but I wanted to be able to make sure that folks aren't making themselves crazy because you can do this for Valentine's Day with what you have locally. So I tried to give people a couple options, and I mean you can get these. The ones that I'm using, you're seeing me clip, are actually the Amazon one that I bought for something else. But I have used others over the years that sometimes I'll just have them. They don't have to be an official rose stem. I think they're prettier if they are.
Ashton said you're taking the time to make them and should have already had a meeting by the time you got ready to put them on there.
Uh-uh. Well, normally I would have had two or three in my mouth, but the idea of this, this is a fun thing. You're going to go to a party, or maybe you're having a little romantic, Valentine's Day thing, and you are a food family. This would be fun. It's great at a party. It's the first time for a book club, and it was a Valentine's inspired book club, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to make, and I decided I was going to make these roses, and I
They're
showed up, and
adorable.
I showed up at the picnic, and people went nuts. And I made sure I had real ones and I had the fake ones, um, so that people had a chance to just giggle and laugh. Now, how do you take this to even another step, even more extra? Well, let me show you.
You're not going to put that sandwich on there, are you?
Oh, girl, no. No, no, no. Let's not get crazy. But, if you're going to do bacon, well, then make it a BLT. Take a skewer. and add some tomatoes
With lettuce leaves.
and lettuce leaves. So if you don't have enough leaves, use lettuce leaves. All I did was I just poked them with my skewers.
You are all extra. Ashton got tickled at the oh girl no.
Mm-mm. And
Uh,
it's funny, I often, as I was saying it, made the assumption that everybody has floral tape. You can buy it at the hardware store. When you want to work with your lettuce leaf, just take your skewer and then just slide it in the center rib, and it doesn't need to be on so secure. It's just for the look. But if you're going to serve this as a BLT, a deconstructed BLT, how pretty could that be? Look at that. You've got everything you need right now for lunch. It's fun. It's hands-on. People will be giggling.
I
And
think
it takes a little bit of placement.
you've made us all hungry, and you realize you've made bacon and eggs, right? Just
I
not
have made
together.
bacon and eggs. Yep, I made it bacon and eggs.
Mm.
You got a BLT in the making here, and then what I would serve along with this when I would do this normally, nothing fancy. I'll tell you right now. After all this work, I'm just gonna put in some mayonnaise, take some pre-made pepper chili mix of your preferred brand. So I'm using a chili garlic sauce. Pop it in.
Is this for the bacon?
This is what you could use as your mayonnaise for the deconstructed Valentine's Day bacon BLTs.
No, I just
Because
need bacon with my bacon.
now you've got your something fun. You can serve this. All right, now we'll go back and we'll finish all of this. Let's clean up my space here. All right, so we've got a dipping sauce. We've got our deconstructed bacon here as our bacon roses. We've got all the makings for bacon to do a BLT.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've got our sandwich. Now, normally, how this sandwich would be done would be take your wax paper.
Oh, we're gonna
You can
go
take a
Subway style.
Well, this is how they would have done it. They didn't have the plastic. They would have either used a wax cloth, right, or they would have used wax paper, and they would have just wrapped it up once.
And then
And of
cut it.
course, they'd have their yep. Because if you're working in a labor area, if you're on the farms or you're industrial, you would barely have opportunity to wash your hands. This also helps. Then it allows you to eat your sandwich.
Well, look at you, Mr. Smarty.
And this is how they would take them into work. Is they would just have them wrapped up with paper, and they would just they almost always had a knife, so they would just cut into it, and they now have their lunch. Super easy. And this is one of those concepts where you don't have to eat eggs hot. So you can make this cold, or you could even make this the night before. In fact, when you're doing the bacon, you can actually roll the bacon the night before and just do the baking. I'm just trying to give you all the best shot you can see. You could do the baking at the next day. So if you can get all this prepped and then be able to do it,
Well, you know what, Frank?
and you're set to
Uh,
go. What's
I'm
that?
iced in here and have not left my house since Sunday evening. And I better have some bacon or we're going to rumble. I've never had candied bacon. Never had candied bacon. So I'm going to hook myself up.
So I just want to show folks, if you don't have this, don't sweat it. You can use a regular old skewer. And then you could either wrap the skewer in green tape or don't worry about it. Just serve it this way. If I serve this with a bunch of skewers, are you going to say no if I hand you a container full of skewered bacon? You're not going to say no, right? You can play it up as much as you want, play it down as much as you like. The whole idea is that this is a great, fun Valentine's idea. It's perfect for a rainy day idea with the kids, the family. I mean, I just can you imagine just coming into a buffet where you're inviting friends and they see just this huge arrangement of bacon roses with, and if they're not individual stems, you could put like a pair of tongs. They have a dipping sauce. And then for our lunch today, I am going to do a potato, pepper, and egg sub, which would have been something very traditional that Italian American immigrants would have taken with them to lunch each day.
I just want to
That's
come
our
eat with
live.
you for 1 week because you make
Thank
things
you.
I've never thought of. Of course, I'm not Italian in any way. And why would I think of it? Because I never heard of it.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's an omelet. Like you said, it's an omelet. Oftentimes we call them frittatas, but this is people don't think of making egg sandwiches way. They often think of making an egg sandwich, a fried egg with cheese, maybe some bacon on a English muffin, or back east where I grew up. If you went out for a night of drinking, you usually would eat a fried egg sandwich at Howard Johnson's before you went home, so all that
Oh,
grease would
really?
soak it up. But this is just fun, and there are other variations of this that you can do with the bacons, but I just love this. I think it's funny, and the sandwich is an easy one, and I like it because it doesn't have to stay warm, so I can make it and eat it the next day. You could microwave them, that's fine, it'll work.
Okay, so I don't know if you've heard, but Kaz had a big tree go down in his backyard. It was in his yard, onto his fence, almost on his outshed. I mean, this weather is causing us some. Thank y'all for the gifts. It's causing us some grief. Trees down and limbs, and
It's causing us some big grief.
man,
Oh, that's good.
stop. Ah.
Yeah, we're we're just getting through all of the flooding that we had here. So, folks, I am so glad that you joined me for lunch.
Me
We
too.
are 55 minutes in. I have given you a bouquet of bacon roses with tomatoes and lettuce so that you could actually make your own bacon, lettuce, and tomato rose treat. The recipe is live on Food Talk TV in the kitchen blog. It's live right now for those. And then I also gave you an idea of, from a cultural perspective, of what my ancestors would have eaten when they first immigrated here every day for lunch: an egg, pepper, and potato sandwich. That's it. That's simple. Wrap it, and it was go. And you can eat them cold. You can eat them room temperature.
Beautiful. All
Totally
that
budget
is
friendly.
all. That is all just so pretty. You just got
And I
such
still
a
have another batch of bacon to throw in the oven.
right. And they said, "Thank you, Frank and Sherry. Listen, you've got an eye for this. Thank you, Chef Camillo."
Thank you. I am
Mm.
thrilled, and I will do a screenshot. There is a screenshot of the recipe of the version I did before. I'll do a screenshot of this version when I finish the last set of bacon. But I'm so glad to have you on here, joining me, and all of my Food Talk collaborators, as well as all of you who are joining me for this again. And I'll be back next week for something else.
Yay! Let's be frank.
Bye, everybody. See you.
Bye.